Our day is not over just yet.
Woohoo! USA! USA!
We have an action-packed hour for you 6 p.m. drivers.
Would I rather be feared or loved? Easy, both. I want people to be afraid of how much they love me.
Matt Skraby wraps up a full day of live and local sports talk.
And that is the whole problem with aliens. You just can't trust them. Occasionally you meet a nice one, but usually they turn out to be some kind of big lizard.
The Skraby Show starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello and welcome into the Skraby Show for November 21st, 2025. Thank you so much for joining me on a very slow sports news day on a Friday night nearing Thanksgiving. I appreciate everybody who is watching or listening right now. If you want to watch the show, you can. You can go to YouTube. You can search at the Skraby Show for that if you would like to watch with some of the other Skrabinators. Also, you could do 97.3 The Fan on YouTube, Twitch 97.3 The Fan, Facebook 97.3 The Fan, and X 97.3 The Fan SD. Also, the Odyssey app. I should mention the Odyssey app a little bit more because I need to. That's just the bottom line, is that you can also listen on the Odyssey app. And I go through all the trouble of chaptering every single segment. So might as well put some people over there as well. Let's, today is going to be all over the place. I just have to say, because, of course, slow news day, lots of non-stories coming out. The Padres did make some contract moves today we'll talk about here in just a second. I do want to get some more of my frustrations out about Brandon Ayuk. If the reports are true about him and the 49ers, I'm not happy about it. Also, I don't mean to bring down people on a Friday, but I wanted to talk about the Cowboys player, Marshawn Kneeland, who ended his life a few weeks ago. And I wanted to talk about it because I think it's important, because reading through all of the different stories about this, it seems like a lot of people did the right thing with him. And I think that needs to be pointed out because no one really knows how to go about certain things. Like if a friend sends you a text message that, isn't maybe necessarily it's a text message, you're like, what is going on with this person? I know this person, this is not them. Well, a lot of people in his life did that. So I want to bring that up because I do think it's very, very important to talk about. But I also want to talk about what happened on the station earlier. And I'm not trying to bring it up, but like to make people feel bad or people that work here feel bad. But there was only one other time that so if you aren't aware, Ben and Woods were on this morning. Apparently they were talking about contract talks or something, and then all of a sudden the station shut down on them, and no internet, no YouTube, nothing going out over the air. And I believe it was some sort of web service outage or something like that. I don't know the exact reason for why everything happened, but here's a story of when Tony, Chris, and we were not sure if we were on the air. This was a long time ago. I can't even remember when this was. It was over 5 years ago. But I remember one time, I know what it was. Okay, we were in COVID, and the guys were at home, and they were on Zoom and dialed into the board from their houses, and I could not get the board to switch over to them. So that's the thing, is like it was already in satellite mode or whatever. I could not get the board to switch over and realize that I wanted to run it. And so we were talking. And then I wasn't paying attention to my phone. It was behind me. And I look behind me and I have a million texts from people saying that we're not on the air. So we did probably a 25 minute show, not on the air, not thinking that we weren't on the air. We thought we were. And once we found out, we came back and we said that was the greatest half hour of all time, because we had all of the good ones. Michael Jordan, LeBron James. We had all of the who's who in sports. But yes, that was an unfunny joke now that I'm thinking about it from back then. But yeah, it's kind of nerve-wracking when you don't know whether or not you are on the air, because obviously you can't say anything bad. And it's just a not comfortable place to be in. So I feel for Ben and Woods this morning. I feel for them. That is a very uncomfortable feeling, and I don't envy it whatsoever. But it got all fixed. Everything seems to be working now. So we're all back to normal. Everything is all good. But if we did have a guest on the Skraby Show, that guest would join us on the David P. Shapiro fan hotline. David P. Shapiro, criminal defense attorney, is helping good people regain control of their future when charged with a crime since 2010. Visit davidpshapirolaw.com. The roster moves that the Padres made today. It was like the tender, non-tender deadline. And it was the deadline was actually at 2 p.m. our time. And so here are some of the moves that the Padres made. Luis Campusano agreed to a 1-year deal for the 2026 season. The club tendered contracts to 6 of its remaining arbitration-eligible players: Jason Adam, Mason Miller, Adrian Morihone, JP Sears, Freddie Fermin, and Gavin Sheets. But here's some of the big surprising news today. Lefty Omar Cruz and righty Sean Reynolds, who were not yet eligible for salary arbitration, were non-tendered by the Padres ahead of Friday's deadline, making them free agents, which is interesting because they had lots of control on Sean Reynolds. I have a feeling that Sean Reynolds is going to be picked up by another team. I mean, he can come back to the Padres, but it's not likely at this point because I think that the Padres want to bring back, if Sean Reynolds and Omar Cruz come back, I think they want to bring him back on a minor league contract. So I'm not really sure why they decided to go in this direction with Sean Reynolds. Maybe we'll get some more clarity on that as we go forward. But you may remember earlier this week where they brought back Kyle Hart, and he is going to be on the team for 2026 with a team option for 2027. But if you include Hart in their Kyle Hart back in their bullpen, which I think is the spot for him, I don't know that he's a starter for the Padres. I think that he's a good lefty bullpen guy that they could be using. But the Padres have 13 relievers on their 40-man roster, and they only have 7 starters. One of them, Yu Darvish, and he's going to miss the season. So there's going to be some changes here this offseason, and I think what we know is that the Padres have to go after pitching. That is the number one thing, is they have to go after starting pitching. Now, another name that's out there that may be able to join the team at some point is Johnny Brito, who came in the Juan Soto trade, but he had UCL surgery, internal brace, kind of what Yu Darvish is having. He had it last April. The Padres did tender a contract, and he is expected back at some point in the first half. So that's another option right there as well. I think if Johnny Brito could figure it out, then that would be pretty awesome because he could throw hard. It's just really not something that it's his control. So maybe he starts out the bullpen. I'm struggling to talk because our guy Sammy Lev is in the chat. He said, "That's a nice shirt. Nothing like getting my weekend started with the Skraby Show." Thank you so much, Sammy Lev. Thank you so much for joining me for the Skraby Show. He's a heck of a guy, that Sam Levitt. All right, let's see. Oh, Campusano. That's what I wanted to talk about because I'm not sure what this means. He's out of options, meaning that he can't be sent to the minors without clearing waivers. So maybe this contract is just something that they want to deal with, or they wanted to give him so that they didn't have to deal with the whole waiver thing. There could be a spot for him on the team, but we've seen how they've handled him over the last few years, and I'm just not sure what the plan is here. Maybe just they didn't want to lose him because obviously he can hit, and he can hit at the AAA level, but we saw what happened last year. He hasn't really figured it out in the last couple of years at the major league level. His defense needs some work, but maybe they feel like Luis Campusano as a backup is a better option than letting him go through waivers and seeing if another team claims him, things of that nature. Brandon Wilson says, Brandon Wilson. Is it? Yeah, it is Brandon. Brandon says, sign Jonah Heim. He was non-tendered by the Rangers today. Another player non-tendered by the Rangers today, Adolis Garcia. He's coming off of, I believe, won a World Series MVP. He was pretty darn good. Lots of power. Last year, not a great year at all. He hit like 216 with a 6-something OPS, 19 homers. So that's not what you're looking for in Garcia. And that's not what it's, I don't know, is what I'm trying to say. I'm just not sure about any of these roster moves. I'm not sure about Jonah Heim. I'm not sure about Adolis Garcia. I'm not sure about Kyle Schwarber. I'm not sure about any of this. I don't know what direction the Padres are going to go in. That's why I am saying that I'm not sure what's going to happen, because it's true. And with this potential sale of the team, we talked about it earlier during Gwen and Chris. With the sale of the team, they did say in their statement that they're going to operate this team like they weren't looking at a sale. So what does that mean? Does that mean they're going to sign big free agents? I doubt it. It's not been their style since they, brought in Xander Bogaerts and Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. They have a lot of money tied up in those guys. I think we're going to have to, and this is the same thing I said earlier, and I think it's the only way I could go right now, but as a whole, I think, or personally for me, I have to see what the writing on the wall looks like this offseason. Because last year, the writing on the wall wasn't that great. I mean, we didn't really know who was going to play left field. We didn't really have a starting rotation figured out until late in spring training. Nick Pivetta was signed and things started coming together. But I don't know that we're going to know much about the roster of the 2026 team until we get to spring training. Like, I just don't expect anything to be out of the norm for what has happened the last few off seasons. And the last few off seasons, they've brought in players late in spring training. So it's just one of those things. We're going to have to wait. We're going to have to wait. And that's kind of unfortunate. I'm not good at waiting, especially not good at waiting for months. But that's the cards that we are dealt as Padres fans right now. But Luis Campusano back on a contract for 2026. Sean Reynolds, Omar Cruz out. Jason Adam, Mason Miller, Adrian Morejon, JP Sears, Freddie Fermin, and Gavin Sheets were all extended offers of contracts. That's what tendered means. I had someone ask earlier. Tendered means that they offered them a contract. Non-tendered means they did not offer them a contract. And it's because of the arbitration. So there's a lot of rules, but just know the Padres tendered a lot of the right guys, and they didn't actually, make any huge news today by non-tendering someone we thought was going to have a big impact in 2026. And you could say maybe Sean Reynolds, but we'll see what happens with that. All right. When we get back, I really need to talk about this Brandon Ayuk situation with the 49ers, because there was Joseph on the chat notified me earlier today. There was an article that was published from Diana Rossini and Michael Silver of The Athletic, and it was all about how Brandon Ayuk and the 49ers are headed to a nasty, nasty, nasty divorce. So we'll talk about that when we get back here on the Skraby Show on 97.3 The Fan.
Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER.
All right, everyone. Back here, Odyssey Palace, 97.3 The Fan, Skraby Show, all of that. Thank you again for listening. Next week, our show is going to be on Monday and Tuesday, but then we're off the rest of the week. So no show Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. A lot of you all have Thursday and Friday off anyway. Back in my radio days when I first started, I said back in my radio days, I'm still in my radio days, but when I first started in my radio days, holidays were like where I was able to get my reps in. And holidays is when I was always searching for an opportunity to be on the air back 8-9 years ago. So there was a time where I literally worked either for one job or another. I worked like, I don't know, 100 and something days in a row. And it was because I wanted to make it in radio. So I was just doing everything I possibly could. And I remember when I came in to do like, because the station I was on at the time had the Thanksgiving Day football games and they needed one person to run each game. And so I remember because I first stopped drinking and this opportunity came about, and I had all of my family at my parents' house, and I could not be happier to be at work running that football game. Like I know that Thanksgiving's all about family. I know the holidays are all about family. My countdown idea earlier, we ended up doing top 5 things we like about soccer, but my countdown idea earlier was top 5 conversations you don't want to have at Thanksgiving. And my number one conversation that I always had that kind of has changed, but it was always, because I'm the oldest grandchild of like 23 grandchildren. My grandparents created a massive family, but I'm the only grandchild. I'm the oldest grandchild of all those grandchildren, and everybody else is getting married, having kids, things like that. And so every year, and I know people know where I'm going with this. Every year, people were like, "When are you gonna get a girlfriend? When are you gonna have kids? You need to have kids before I die," type of thing. I hated that question all the time because it's kind of it's kind of an unnecessary question. Like, when are you going to get a girlfriend is a very hardcore question to ask someone that you only talk to once or twice a year. So I really didn't like that question because at the time I was just not in the right headspace to have any sort of relationship. So I wasn't even thinking about that. KG says on the chat, it's always going to be politics. For me, my family loves talking politics. And we've actually kind of as a family kind of stopped talking about politics as much because everybody gets older and everybody gets their own opinions, and then now the kids that didn't have opinions and it gets a little crazy. So our family, we have a pretty good understanding on the politics talk, but I've definitely been at family functions of other people where politics takes over, and boom, that is it is a weird situation when people get going back and forth at each other over politics. I'm not even talking about right now. I'm talking about any sort of politics over the years. Joseph asked, Skraby, how have you ever done a turkey bowl with your family or friends? Not really. Back in the day, we may have done like one turkey bowl as a family, and I'm assuming Joseph means like play football with everybody in like backyard or something. I definitely have not. Our family is clumsy, I guess. So anytime if we were going to play football in the backyard or front yard or whatever, one of us would definitely be seriously injured. And so that's why we're not playing those games. It's not like Wedding Crashers where, things get a little bit crazy, but we've never done that either. But there's one thing that my mom makes, and it's from my dad's side of the family. My dad's side of the family is from Lithuania. So my mom makes something called kugula, which is like a potato dish, and it's served cold. It's very, very Eastern European. but I tried to make it one year and it was awful. It was awful. And I was the only one who tried to eat it because it was so bad. So there's a little bit about my family's Thanksgiving. Hopefully everybody has some plans next week. Hopefully everybody is getting in their travel early because I've been reading that things are going to be crazy for the Thanksgiving travel situation. And even the airports are back to normal somewhat, but this morning at Limburg, they had to fly out the other way over downtown because of all the clouds, and that has nothing to do with anything. I just wanted to say that. Do I cook anything for Thanksgiving? I cook sometimes. It's not a lot. Usually my mom is the big cook, and it was my grandma before that, my grandma and my mom, but my mom likes doing that stuff. She's crazy. I don't know why she likes doing that stuff because everybody always complaining about everything, but she does most of the cooking. Eric says every every holiday my dad would joke that the hospital called wondering if we were alive because they hadn't heard from us yet. That's pretty good. I like that. All right. Brandon Ayuk situation. 49ers, it appears that Brandon Ayuk is no longer going to be a 49er after this season. Now, they did agree to a contract last year, 4 years, $120 million extension. And he got off to a really, really slow start after this whole thing. And it came after an offseason where Brandon Ayuk wanted a new contract. He was still under contract. He had his 5th year option coming up, which was like around $14 million, didn't want it. And so he told the 49ers either trade me or give me money. And so the 49ers ended up finding a few trade partners in the beginning. And then Brandon Ayuk said he didn't want to go to those teams. And so the trades fell apart. He ended up, they had a trade with the Steelers basically in place. I'm not sure what the deal was, but they had a trade with the Steelers, the 49ers did, in place. And I guess they were going to make it happen, but that morning, Brandon Ayuk and Kyle Shanahan talked, got on the same page, and it was so close to happening that I guess Kyle Shanahan had to rush over to John Lynch and tell him not to do the trade anymore because they had come to some sort of agreement. So, long story short, they signed him to 4 years, $120 million. Now, he gets hurt last year, tears up his knee pretty good, I have to say. It was not a great injury, and no injuries are great, but it was a very tough injury because he tore multiple ligaments and he was out obviously the rest of the year. He has not played this year. He's on the PUP list, the player unable to perform. And now apparently the 49ers are trying to get out of his contract by voiding his guaranteed money in 2026. He would have had an option bonus paid out $24.935 million. He was only going to get $1.21 million in the as his base salary, but he was going to be given $24.935 million just for being on the team next year. So they have, and it hasn't been a great situation in the beginning. He is unsure that he's ready to come back. And the 49ers have kind of been pushing him a little bit, which I understand because they need him. He is still on the team. But apparently, according to sources with The Athletic, Brandon Ayuk has failed to attend meetings and declined to participate in other team activities in recent months. And the 49ers have grown increasingly frustrated with its receivers' lack of communication. And I had been reading this for a while, is that he's just not communicating with the team sometimes, which he is under contract. So if your boss calls you, you kind of have to call your boss back. But I guess he was playing those games. And yes, this is going to be an anti-Brandon Ayuk segment because I am a 49er fan. I think that what he's doing here is what I don't like about pro sports. When you're under contract and you're making a lot of money, and the 49ers, and this goes for any team, the team gave you what you want, and then now all of a sudden you're over it and you just don't go to meetings, you don't go to 49ers team activities that you're required to go to. This really bothers me because you should just and this goes for anybody in professional sports. I really believe this. You should just be happy that someone wants to give you that amount of money to play a professional sport. Like, he is willingly, it seems like, Brandon Ayuk, forfeiting this bonus of $24.935 million in order. I don't even know. Does he want to force his way out of the contract? Maybe that's his way of doing it. But he's coming off a horrific knee injury. He wasn't looking good before the horrific knee injury. So I don't get his thought process if indeed he is guilty of the things that are being alleged against him, which is that he's not showing up to things that he's supposed to show up to. I think this is the problem where I come in with professional sports. This is my problem with everything. I cannot stand it when people who have lots of money being paid to them, when they complain because they think they want more money. I don't even know what Brandon Ayuk wants. The 49ers gave him more money than he's going to get from other teams. 4 years, $120 million. Like, and what other team is going to hear this and be like, yeah, we want to bring this guy in for a ton of money, when he apparently, doesn't go to meetings while he's rehabbing. He doesn't go to organizational activities. It's not something that I could ever get behind anyone for. Like, I am a guy who, you made an agreement, you're going to live up to that agreement, which seems to work in normal life. Like, people usually go through the agreement that they agreed to. But for some reason, professional athletes just do not care, and they know that they will be paid eventually. But Brandon Ayuk has done a lot of damage to this team. He has been a distraction. He has made it all about himself. I read last year in this article, I read that he was on the practice field, and Kyle Shanahan, he was wearing the wrong color shorts. The offense was supposed to wear black shorts, which all teams do. They all have color coding. But apparently what Brandon Ayuk did, he wore the red shorts. He was supposed to wear the black shorts. Kyle Shanahan asked him to change into the black shorts. So he, according to reports and media, was there for this. So they were watching this, but he kicked off his gloves, he untied his shoes, and he pulled off his shorts, and he was just kind of being a distraction. And so this is just kind of the things that people are dealing with. It's just really annoying to me. Like, you're making a lot of money and you're actually not doing anything for that money. You are just sitting around, apparently. And if I'm another team, I am not bringing him in for lots of money. Not at all. Dominic says, how about just having enough respect for yourself to be professional when you're receiving a salary? Really very simple, pro athlete or not. That's where I'm at. That's where I'm at. Someone said something about the Cowboys. I could see the Cowboys wanting to take him on there. But yeah, I'm fine with Brandon Ayuk leaving the 49ers. It's just been a disaster ever since he wanted his new contract. And this is what sours me about professional sports. I do not care if you're unhappy with your contract, sir. Do not care. It does not impact me one way or the other. You agreed to play for that amount of money. You agreed to play that many years for that amount of money. Live up to it. And Brandon Ayuk, if he's getting advice that he should give up this bonus so that he could be released from his contract, he's probably getting bad advice, I would say. I don't know that he's ever going to be offered 4 years, $120 million going forward. I just don't think it's going to happen. But yeah, thanks, Joseph, for making me aware of this situation. I've been wondering when Brandon Ayuk's going to come back. But he's just being the same Brandon Ayuk that we saw last year. We saw the year before. It's just annoying to me. It's annoying. I will gladly take your money, Brandon Ayuk, and go to meetings while I'm rehabbing from a knee injury. I will gladly do that. Please. I like, if I miss a meeting and I'm supposed to be somewhere, I feel very uncomfortable about missing that meeting. My mind's always on, I bet you those people are thinking about me not being at the meeting. Like, sometimes these guys, I don't understand how they can think the way they do. I mean, they've always been the best at something, but I do not understand people that are just like, doesn't matter. I'm just not going to go. It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy to me. Thank you for allowing me to get that off of my chest. I don't know if anyone else identifies with it, but I'm sure there's a player on your team that has annoyed you in the past with something similar to this. I'm Matt Skraby. This is the Skraby Show, 97.3 The Fan. When we get back, some fun stories. We're not going to talk about that. And we have to talk about the referee last night in the Thursday night football game. And what happened after that has a lot of people shocked. So we'll talk about that on the other side. still trying to decide what my daily gripe is for today. That usually comes at the end of the show. Things have been okay lately, but I think I have one. So we'll get to that at the end of the show. Gotta say, it's kind of unfortunate that there's not as many sports on anymore. Because I used to enjoy sitting here doing a Skraby Show with like a baseball game on or something like that. It's amazing to me how much I rely on baseball for my entertainment because it's every day. And when there's a day off or something, I'm always like, what am I supposed to do now? I don't know what to do. Baseball is what I do. All right. I'm going to get into this story real quick. I know we're heading to the weekend on a Friday, but I think it's very important. So Marshawn Kneeland, former Dallas Cowboys defensive end, he ended up taking his own life a few weeks ago. And, more news has been coming out about Marshawn Kneeland. And the reason I want to bring it up is because I think people did things right. And there were reports and records from Western Michigan where Marshawn Kneeland went and played football. And the reports are that he had 2 welfare checks on him while he was there. So this is something that is not new. Anybody who was in his life knew that he struggled with mental health issues, and they were always prepared in case that he sent him a text message or something like that that was leading to maybe something bad happening to him. And the director of security for the Dallas Cowboys, Cable Johnson, actually did call law enforcement to ask for a welfare check on Kneeland and to tell police that Kneeland had sent a text saying he didn't want to go to jail. Johnson told the police he sent out some group texts that are concerning, probably mental health, but the group text seemed to be saying goodbye, made some statement about not being able to go to prison or to jail. And we all know how everything ended up. But here's why I wanted to bring it up, because when people text you things, take it seriously. I can't tell you how many stories I've read about people texting that they're having trouble and someone, believing them, but maybe not believing it's as serious as it is. But the moral to this story is, if you have anybody in your life who is struggling with mental health or who is suicidal, and they tell you, hey, things aren't going well, like, do something about it. And I'm not trying to come down on people who haven't, because obviously, I'm not in their situation. And it's really sad, but these people did do the right things. They did try to get him help. They did try to put him first. They did try to get the police there before anything bad happened. Unfortunately, the police didn't get there in time. So that's all I'm going to really say about it, because it's honestly really sad. It makes me very sad. And it's very sad that he was struggling with all this stuff. But there is for lack of a better term, there is a paper trail on this. So just know who your friends are, know who your family are, and just know that it's never that bad. It's never as bad as taking your own life, because there are situations in life that are going to happen that are going to stink for you, but it's never as bad as taking your own life. There are ways to get better. There are ways for you to work through stuff like this. And so if you're someone who has had these thoughts, I will fully admit, years and years and years ago, I did have these thoughts. And you know what I did? I told my thoughts to my friends and family, and you know what they did? They put me in the hospital, because that's where I should have been. And so I know there are people out there that feel this way sometimes, but just know that there are people out there that care. I care, and I don't want to see anybody take their own life because they thought it was so bad. And I'm not saying, I'm not trying to I'm not trying to talk down to anybody who has taken their own life. I'm just saying that like life is more precious and you can find your way out of it. I found my way out of a terrible situation. So if I could do it, a lot of people can do it. But very sad for Marshawn Neiland and very sad for the Cowboys. Everything under the sun there. Just make sure you're communicating with your people. Just make sure of that. All right. I'm just going to move on into another topic. Now I'm not able to speak because I have so many thoughts running through my head, but I'm just going to move into a new topic. Actually, Joseph has a nice thing real quick about this, Marshawn Neiland. Also, it's okay to talk about your feelings. Don't feel like you have to be the strong one. Know that you are important. The world is a better place because of you. You are loved no matter what. That's a great message, Joseph. It's true. I talk about my feelings quite often. And I go to a therapist because I think it's good to have someone in your life that you can talk to. But like Joseph just said, you're not alone, okay? I promise you're not alone. Now, this is for a soccer stadium. Yes, we're completely shifting gears here. This is for a soccer stadium. They have released renderings. Everybody loves renderings here in San Diego. We are good at the renderings. But here is I'm going to put it up on the screen. So if you want to go to the YouTube later, it's at 52 minutes into the YouTube. But here are the renderings that Birmingham City has announced plans for a 62,000 capacity seat stadium that apparently is going to be seen from up to 40 miles away. Now, it's a little strange looking because they have really channeled into the city and the history of the city. And so the stadium has a bunch of smokestacks, like industrial smokestacks, all around it. That's what is surrounding the stadium, is all these industrial smokestacks. And they are, a lot of the people in Birmingham, from what I'm reading so far, are not big fans of this. But what I say about this stadium is there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's like 10 smokestacks. And they're like made out of brick, it looks like. And it looks like something you would see back in the day. But I like this look of the stadium. It's different for sure, but I do like the look of the stadium. I think it's different, and that's what makes me like it. It seems like all the stadiums nowadays are just kind of all built in the same sort of style. It's like the cookie cutter stadiums that we had all over the country. You know, San Diego had one with Qualcomm. You got Three Rivers. You got all of those stadiums that were multi-purpose use stadiums back in the day. But if you could see this from 40 miles away, I think that's kind of cool as well. But Birmingham City, from the people who I was reading, the locals, they're saying that Birmingham City is a city for the Industrial Revolution. That's where it changed their city. So I don't mind it because it makes sense in regards to the history of the city. I will like things because they're different as long as they make sense. Like the Guardians name makes no sense to me. The Guardians are chosen because apparently there's a bridge, and I'm not going to tell this whole story correctly, I'm sure of it. But there's a bridge with statues on it, and they're called the Guardians of the City. That only makes sense for that city. Like, I don't get it. A stadium can be put in this style because you have to actually go to the stadium to see it. So it's not like they changed the name to the Birmingham City Smokestacks or something like that. Dominic says the smokestacks are a bit much. You could honor the history inside the stadium like in a museum. It looks weird. Joseph says you might be on your own there, Skraby. Jack says renderings and tenderings type of day. I like that. There's also some more stuff. There will be multiple movable pitches and a retractable roof, with owner Tom Wagner wanting the new arena to host various other sports, including the NFL and rugby union, as well as music events. Right now, they have a stadium that's only capacity 29,409 seats. They're trying to build a 62,000 seat stadium over there. I didn't realize I still had the picture up, but there you go. That's what Birmingham City is going to do. And if the locals don't like it, they might have to go in another direction, but when have rich people ever listened to the little people like us? Never.
What's annoying Skraby today? Let's find out. It's time for the Daily Gripe.
All right, this is specific to something that happened yesterday. I went to go pick up some lunch on the way to work, and it was a grocery store. I was just buying a nice salad, and the gripe is this. When I'm going through a checkout and they make a comment about my food, I don't like that. And what they said to me, and I don't think they thought this was rude in their head, but it was rude, and I was taken aback by it. But they said, good choice on the salad. You need to mix a few of those in. And I was like, what? What? He basically just called me chubby. They called me chubby. Like, why are you commenting on my food? I do not need for you to make my complex about my weight even worse. Like, I would never say to someone if they walk through with like a bunch of terrible food that will make you fat. I wouldn't be like, oh yeah, man, you shouldn't be eating that. You're going to gain like an extra 20 pounds. Just not into it. So there's my daily gripe. I don't know if anybody has ever had anything like that happen to them before. Gonzo said it's how San Diegans talk. I don't know that San Diegans were into just insulting what I look like. But don't tell me to mix in a few salads, okay? Because that's not very nice. That is not very nice. Thank you, Dominic. He said, yes, this annoys the bleep out of me. Just scan my bleep. I agree with you, Dominic. I agree. I'm not there for your discussion about my weight. All right, that's it. Thank you, everyone, for sitting through this show with me, sitting through all of the shows here on 97.3 The Fan. We'll be back on Monday. Again, only Monday and Tuesday for Gwen and Chris. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we are off. But I appreciate you all. I will have a Skraby Show on Tuesday. But good night. Have a good weekend. Make sure you drive safe in this rain, and make sure you wouldn't do anything that Brandon Ayuk wouldn't do, which I don't even know what that means. So I'll leave you with that. Have a great weekend, everybody.